it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for March 2025. So welcome to March. We have a brand new month with a brand new energy, brand new life lesson, and a brand new situation and circumstance for us to be facing. We have a lot of energy coming at us here in the month of March. If you have listened to the 2025 year ahead overview that I put out there at the beginning of the year, you would know that March is one of the craziest, most chaotic, most transformative, most intense months of the whole freaking year. A lot of that is due to Venus retrograding. Mercury will be joining her in the underworld. And then we get thrown into eclipse season. And this is an interesting eclipse season here in March, especially in comparison to the one that we're going to have in the fall, because we dip our toe into the Pisces and Virgo axis that we just started working on. This is the karmic chapter that we're going to be kind of working through for the next 18 months. And then we are also closing out the last 18-month karmic chapter that we've been working on, which is on the Aries and Libran axis. So again, we have this eclipse energy coming at us to kind of show us where it is that we have to release old ideas, release old ways of controlling our physical realm, release the want, need, and desire to needing to know all the answers before you move on and move forward. And then we have an event that is going to be pushing us into closing the chapter of this identity in which we've been building for the last 18 months and truly embodying this new version of self. And of course, we have some very interesting dynamics popping off in between all of those particular highlights. And we cannot talk about March without talking about the fact that at the end of March, we're going to see Neptune leave his rulership that he's been sitting in since 2011, and he's going to be dipping his toe into Aries energy for the first time in our lifetimes. So that's going to be a pretty pivotal energy shift as well. I definitely encourage you, if you haven't already, to take a listen to that 2025 year ahead overview. And if you are interested in figuring out how these energies are going to be impacting you throughout the year, of course, I would encourage you to take the mini course that I put out there at the beginning of the year that goes through all of these major astrology events and shifts and where to find them in your chart and what this is going to mean for you in the long term. So let's talk about March for just a second. Of course, we're coming into March still very much under the influence of Pisces season. March, according to the Gregorian calendar, would be the third month. And if we were dealing with the vibration of 3, then this is going to be a head trip. This is going to be a time of new information, new insights, new perspectives. And it's also going to be a little bit of a mind F, if you will, because we have a lot of endings and closures needing to take place, especially with old ideas, old thoughts, old belief systems. Now, Pisces energy being the ending sign of the zodiac, it'd be the 12th sign. 1 + 2 does equal 3. So we're dealing with the vibration of 3 coming into March. But then we shift into Aries energy. And of course, we are waiting for March 20th. That is when we kick off the new astrological calendar. That is when we are going to be renewed, resurrected in our soul and our spirit and our physical energy once again. It is probably going to be a little bit wackadoodle this time around to be entering into that equinox under the influence of retrogrades and eclipse season. However, we are in the death and decay process in this Pisces energy, although, pre-new moon in Pisces was going to be a lot worse for that shadow work. We are on the other side of this new moon in Pisces that we just had on February 27th, which means that we're moving out of the darkest parts of Pisces energy and into the lighter parts. So this is going to be very renewing and refreshing to our soul and our spirit. We're going to be tapping into a higher vibration and frequency of our intuition, of our creativity. We're going to be receiving a lot of insights. And basically, this is us building to this resurrection energy that we receive when the sun shifts into Aries energy and we hit that equinox when, again, there is a rebalancing of those energies and we get to start a brand new chapter. But the Aries energy, of course, is the first sign of the zodiac, and that means that we're going to be dealing with the vibration of 1. And 1s are new beginnings, initiating something new, new identities, new chapters. And of course, Pisces energy is the endings, the closures needed in order for, again, the Aries energy to have a place to actually build something new in. So the whole teeter-totter, the push and pull of March's energy is because we are initially kind of sitting in between the old world and the new world, the old version of self and the new version of self. And of course, the void does not feel good. Transitions don't feel good. Adjustment periods don't feel good. And of course, we got a lot of astrology and energetic energies and ascension energies really amplifying the death and decay process in preparation for the resurrection, the renewal process to begin. So we're definitely feeling all of the feels. So I feel like March is a very interesting dynamic. Not only are we jumping into a brand new month, a very, I'm going to call it difficult / transformative month. It is very much breakdown versus breakthrough energies. But I think it's interesting to take a look at the moon. And of course, coming into the first day of March, the moon is leaving Pisces energy and moving into Aries energy. So just another validation that we are definitely moving out of the old world, the old karmic chapters, the old version of self, and again, inching our way into this new beginning, this new initiation, this new renewal energy that again, we are very much going to be infused with, especially once we move into this Aries season. So we're wasting no time coming into the month. Of course, March 1st, we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, going retrograde at 10 degrees in Aries energy. And again, I'm probably going to be repetitive here, but in the 2025 year ahead overview, we talked in depth and detail about the fact that there's a lot going on around this 9-degree. Now, specifically 9 degrees in Aries energy. So we have Venus retrograding at 10 degrees. And of course, that means that we are moving into the underworld. There is a beating up and breaking down of thyself that needs to happen. We have to take a look at our self-worth, at our self-confidence, at our self-esteem, because that particular vibration, that particular energy attracted the people, places, and things that, of course, we are very much connected to. However, there's a major pivot point, major transition going on in our heart space with a retrograde. And so what we're kind of doing while Venus is in the underworld is we're doing the shadow work to understand where it is that, again, we're no longer attached to the people, places, and things that the old version of self, that old level of self-esteem, self-confidence, attracted in resonance and in vibration frequency, and therefore the reemergence of who it is that we are going to kind of come out of this retrograde as going to be a totally different person, different vibration, different frequency, different priorities, different values, different wants, needs, desires. And of course, that means that there's going to be a major switch up with the people in our lives, because Venus very focused on love and money. So we can expect while she's retrograde to kind of see an upheaval, if you will, in our relationship dynamics and our finances as well, because again, there's an ending and a closure that we have to become very aware of that needs to happen before we're going to break free of these particular restrictions and limitations and really kind of emerge on the other side of this particular retrograde as the more empowered version of self. We are just starting this retrograde journey. Now, I will advise you, if you haven't already, to get your March energy guide out and available to you to start taking notes, not only through this particular rant, but again, we are being bombarded with some very intense energies here in March. And it is a very good idea to not only stay ahead of the game and stay in alignment with these energies, but really capture what is going on when these planets are transiting either into new energies or into a retrograde situation. You will not be able to make sense of your retrograde story until it has come to pass and you look back on it. But if you start keeping notes in the particular energy guide, you're going to actually start seeing how your retrograde story is building towards a climactic point, which of course we will be reaching here under eclipse season. So on March 3rd, we have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, moving into Aries energy, which is a lovely thing because, of course, Mercury being in this Pisces energy was kind of good for intuition and good for creative ideas, but kind of poor when it comes to actual brain function, when it comes to communication as well. And so with Mercury moving into Aries energy, not only is Mercury kind of, jumping into a new chapter, a new cycle, but that Aries energy being a fire sign, we are going to have all of our mental power not only back, but it's going to be an overwhelm, specifically in comparison to the state of being that we were in floating through that Pisces energy. That Aries energy is going to be balls to the walls. We don't want to look back. We just want to look forward. We're very bold, brave, and courageous, not only with our ideas, but with our expression, with our communication. There's going to be a rapid fire of verbal vomit. So we're definitely going to want to pay attention to how it is that we are expressing ourselves, because again, we kind of go a little bit too far with it, especially coming out of that Pisces energy. We could definitely be making a mess. Now, let me also just say, again, another reason why I recommend that you get your March energy guide available to you is because Mercury is already in his pre-retrograde shadow period. He will be going retrograde. He will be visiting Venus in the underworld. They will be traveling together, and they will be dipping back into the Pisces energy as well. So we have to prepare for that particular transition. And it's just really good to take notes on what it is that you're facing, what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, what is demanding your time, energy, and attention, because all of that is going to be revisited when Mercury retrogrades. So, of course, on the 14th, we have our full moon. This is a lunar eclipse, and it's taking place in Virgo energy. So first of all, a full moon is a full illumination of hidden information and details. We're already kind of feeling that eclipse energy, that chaos, that craziness swirling in the cosmos already. I want you to picture it like the full moon lunar eclipse is like a door opening up in an airplane, and that vortex of energy, sucking everything from the inside of the plane out. And I know I probably shouldn't be talking about planes with all the things going on in the sky right now. However, it's the best analogy I can give. You can kind of feel that pull. And the closer that we get to that full moon lunar eclipse, you're going to really be feeling that pull, that suction energy, trying to suck us out of the old world, suck us out of our situations and circumstances. And of course, it is an eclipse. It's a wild card energy. We're not in control. The universe is about to sort us out, put us on the path that we failed to put ourselves upon. And we just have to kind of surrender to it, which is going to be a very hard thing to do because, of course, a lunar eclipse, typically speaking, removes things out of our lives, subtracts things out of our lives that we were hesitating or resisting and actually eliminating on our own. Virgo energy specifically is a mercurial ruled earth sign, which means that we're not going to have a lot of control over a lot of the aspects that are taking place. We're also not going to be able to make sense of it. Again, not in our headspace. Having a mercurial ruled eclipse event is definitely going to mind F us on a level in which none of us are going to be prepared for, because a lot of the major tough love life lessons coming at us with that Virgo eclipse is about surrendering to not needing to know all the answers, not needing to, have all of the variables sorted out. This is about trying to get us out of the headspace and into our faith, trusting, surrendering to the plan, trusting that there's a greater, grander plan actually pushing us into the places in which we need to be. Now, is it going to feel good? Probably not. It's not supposed to. Are you going to make sense of it? Nope, not at all. Not even a little bit, especially right out of the gate. It takes pretty much the whole eclipse season in order for us to start piecing together why things had to happen in the way that they did. Most times, often than not, we kind of we look at the things happening to us as a form of punishment, as something quote unquote bad. It's not until weeks later that we realize that that was actually a gift in disguise. So just try to keep your mind about you, even though our minds are going to be all over the place. That full moon is definitely going to be putting us in a major pivot point situation where, again, detaching, disconnecting from a lot of the people, places, and things that, again, are no longer for us is definitely going to create a lot of chaos, a lot of upheaval in order for us to get grounded, anchored into this new version of self, into this new landscape, focused on what it is that we need to be building towards, recognizing that whatever it is that's blocking us from actually making the progress, moving on and moving forward will be removed by the universe. Now, interestingly enough, it is going to be a Mercury ruled eclipse event. And not only 24 hours after this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo energy, Mercury is going to retrograde. That's going to take place on the 15th. So the minute that Mercury retrogrades, our headspace is all over the place. Mercury's moving into the underworld. He's not going to be solely conscious or aware of a lot of the things going on, and for good reason. We need to kind of flip the script. We need to revisit a lot of things. And again, if you look at it like when the planets move into the underworld, that this is time for our soul and our spirit to have a little bit of a renovation, a little bit of a restructuring and a reworking. That's exactly what is being done to us through the month of March. So we fast forward to the 20th. That's when the sun is going to move into Aries energy. That's when we come back to life. We jump into a new astrological calendar. We have the equinox being triggered, which is equal day to equal night, equal, power, if you will. And it's going to be an interesting dynamic because, of course, we're going to be smack dab in the middle of eclipse season and retrograde season at that particular juncture. So I do expect that this is not going to be a typical Aries season equinox. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to actually feel like we're in our bodies and where we need to be, and to feel that balance and to feel that power shifting. I think it's going to be a delayed response in a lot of ways, but nonetheless, we are going to be renewed and refreshed in our energy and our physicality. We are going to be eager beavers, a lot more positive, a lot more optimistic than we currently are coming into the month. We, on the 27th, are going to see Venus retrograde back into that Pisces energy. So basically, it's as if when she first retrogrades in the Aries energy, this is all about who she is and who she's had to be and who she presently is and who she needs to become. And then when we slip back into that Pisces energy, that's when the endings and closures, that's when the releasing, that's when the detachment, that is when the acceptance kicks in, and we have to do the emotional refinement in our soul and our spirit to let go of that version of self, of that worth, of that value, of those people, places, and things that old version of self had built and created. And so we would expect that Venus in the underworld, in the Pisces energy, which is about endings and closures, in order for us to, again, put the world that we had to be a part of, that we had to be a certain version of self in order to survive in, where we're putting that particular part of self behind us. And it happens in a beautiful time because on the 29th, we have the new moon, which is the dark phase of the moon. This is a solar eclipse, so it's a sun event, meaning the sun adds something to our lives. The solar energy kind of infuses this new moon energy with a new beginning, a new initiation point. And of course, it's taking place in Aries energy. This officially closes the door on the last 2 years working on this karmic chapter between the Aries and Libran axis. This is the identity that we started building in 2 years ago. The higher version of self, more in resonance with our soul and our spirit. We've been doing a lot of shadow work over the last 2 years in order to, again, kind of separate ourselves from codependent relationships and from people pleasing and from all of those Libran aspects that, of course, the South Node was pushing for us to break away from. And that North Node in Aries is now putting us on the path that we need to be on in this new version of self that is now anchored in and grounded. This is going to be a pop-in type of energy. And as if that wasn't enough, on the exact same day, we have Mercury retrograding in the Pisces energy. So again, he's chasing Venus. They're already both in the underworld. They were in the Aries energy. Venus dips into the Pisces energy. Now Mercury's moving in the Pisces energy. So this is very much revisiting pretty much where it is that we were at in our heart and our head in the final weeks of February. We're going to be revisiting those particular topics and themes. Again, another recommendation to be doing the work in those energy guides that I put out on a monthly basis. There's going to be a common thread now emerge in the topics and themes that you're having to deal with, in the endings and the closures that you're going to have to kind of, throw yourself into in preparation for, again, Venus and Mercury going direct when they do in April. That's our heart and our head being on a different level, a different vibration, a different frequency, a different perspective, a different lens. And, right now we are whittling away the parts, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the lower level of our intellect, the lower level of our perspective, the lower level of our self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem. We are kind of, getting rid of that part of self so that when they go direct and we get to kind of retrace our steps, we're building ourselves up. We're building in a new chapter. We're building in a new identity. And as if that wasn't enough, not only 24 hours after those two major events, on the 30th, we're going to have Neptune leave his rulership in that Pisces energy that he's been sitting in since 2011 and dipping his toe into the Aries energy. So again, I'm going to reference back to the 2025 year ahead overview and the mini course that I put out there, because this is the cha-cha-cha point. We're all such eager beavers. We can't wait to jump into the new world, into this new chapter. And then we get into it, and eventually Neptune isn't going to get very far into that Aries energy before he backtracks, retrogrades, comes back to the Pisces energy later on this year. But nonetheless, this is us in our spiritual warriorism, finally moving into a new chapter, topic, and theme where our spirituality, our higher self, is taking the lead for sure. And we are definitely working on a new level of faith. We are definitely working with a new level of creativity. We are working with an energy. Again, Aries energy is the initiator, the beginning part of the zodiac. We are eager beavers. We're bold, we're brave, we're courageous. We're ready to assert ourselves in ways to bring our new visions for the future to life. And so with this particular energy, it is going to feel, I'm going to say, a little bit uncomfortable when it first happens. None of us have been alive in order to have a reference point on what this is going to feel like. And so we're going to need some time to adjust and to acclimate to that particular energy. But nonetheless, it is going to be a fire energy that is definitely going to put a little bit of pep back in our step. It's going to give us a little bit more passion, a little bit more motivation, determination, and drive to kind of move into new chapters, to abandon the world that wasn't working for us and to start really kind of allowing our soul and our spirit to take the wheel, so to speak, and to put us on the path that we need to be pursuing for the foreseeable future. So that is just a little bit of a summary for what March has in store for us. Of course, if you want to continue to do a deep dive and do the work, get your guides available and in front of you, get that moon guide in front of you as well, because we are working under the new moon Pisces energy up until the end of March when we have that new moon solar eclipse in Aries. So we're definitely still manifesting under that Pisces energy for the first part of March. And jump over to my Patreon. Over on my Patreon, there is daily energy updates, what we're feeling, what we're dealing with, how to deal with it, how to grow through it, how to evolve through it, what we can do about it. So again, we want to make sure that we stay in alignment with these energies, that we stay ahead of them so that we're not taken by surprise, we're not taken off guard, and therefore we minimize the chance of us falling back into reactive egoic programmings. So March, in a nutshell, has a lot coming at us. And of course, we just did a little bit of, I'm going to say, an overview on what these energies are going to mean for us. But we are going to now jump into one astro event at a time, break it down one event at a time, and see how we can use these particular energies to grow and to evolve.